What have you accidentally invented in your mind before you realized it already exists in the world in some form? I was thinking about ways to defend yourself from attack. Started out with a shield and thought, what if we go bigger? Tower shield? Let's go bigger. Shield that protects 180 degrees of your body. Let's go bigger. Shield that protects a full 360 degrees. That's cumbersome. What if we could fit it to your body? Armor. That's armor. Never mind. This would make a great cold open for Dwight. If you put pictures along a subway wall at the right distance from each other, and the train is moving at a constant speed, it will look like a movie to passengers in the train. Held on to this invention until I saw one of these in the train from Heathrow to central London once. There are probably others elsewhere. I saw it in Madrid. Thought it was pretty cool. Got into a drunken conversation with my cousin and we invented a toilet that had a built-in exhaust fan that would suck your stink air out instead of having a normal fan in the ceiling. We went on and on about the proper implementation of it for like 20 minutes before thinking to Google it. They exist, and they're expensive. I decided that leggings would be better if they had socks attached and got really excited about my invention idea for a solid minute until I realized I had just invented tights. Nah, I've had this discussion before with my skinnier buddies. They should make long johns with built-in ski socks. My buddy said like tights, and I was like nah, you want it to be the different materials for both, but attached so you don't have to have the uncomfortable in-boot overlap of sock and long john cuffs. Livewire Orange Mountain Dew. My friend and I decided to mix Crush with Mountain Dew once and found it was delicious. Then a few weeks later we saw it at a gas station and thought the CIA was listening to our phone lines. Pre-cell phones. For our area at least. Socks for your hands. Thought this was a genius idea and how has no one ever thought of this before? Then I remembered that gloves exist. Fun fact. The German word for gloves is Handschuh, which literally translates to hand shoes. After a long day pushing my son around Disney World in his stroller, I was daydreaming about how nice it would be for there to be adult-sized strollers that we could use to get off our feet when we are tired. And that's the day I invented the wheelchair. I always wanted a bed with wheels where I could lie face down and was low enough to the ground to pull myself along with my hands. Not great for hills. Those knobs you attach to steering wheels for easy one-handed turning. I thought I was brilliant. Turns out I was just decades late. The color green. I was coloring a picture at home. I think it was a football player. First with yellow, then I accidentally drew with blue over it and the result was turquoise greenish. Somewhere over the next few days in school, we had to do presentations and we were trying to decide for a color for the header. I was like, how about this? Showed it on my paper and everyone was like, no, green is boring. Let's go with something else, which was when I realized, oh, yeah, that's green, oops. I'll call it Blello. Friends like to go to bars and hang out a lot. I don't drink, but I do get hungry and most bar food is only okay at best. I wish they served better food for me to eat. I also hate having to yell to hold a conversation. So I wish they turned the music down and it was generally quieter and we could hear each other at a normal volume. So there should be, like, a bar but that serves a wider variety of better food and that has quiet music so you can hear each other talk. Great idea. Wait, that's just a restaurant. Self. You want to hang out in restaurants. So there should be, like, a bar but that serves a wider variety of better food and that has quiet music so you can hear each other talk. To me this more describes a proper pub. I was watching Black Mirror, and I was thinking how the seasons only have like 3-4 episodes. Then I thought, well, it's okay since the episodes are long. Then I got thinking, what if they made a season with 1 episode and the 1 episode is really long? Then I realized that those are just movies. You have invented the MCU. For me it's mainly random guitar riffs or melodies. I think them up randomly and I'm like, that would be really cool in a song, then I realize that they are. I wonder how it's even possible anymore to create unique music. There's gotta only be so many combinations. I dropped a glass on the floor again and said, ugh, why haven't they invented cup made of unbreakable material? You mean plastic beakers, like for children? I wish it was acceptable for adults to use plastic beakers, and that they can be used for coffee. A dishwasher? I always had to do the dishes by hand growing up. I told my friend I wish there was a machine that could do the dishes. She then in fact told me about dishwashers. I was blown away. I grew up in an Asian household and they always believed that it was a waste to have a dishwashing machine. One time I had a dream about a super cool game, and it was totally original and so cool. I was so excited, but still somewhat sleep deprived, so I started to tell someone I knew on AIM. He listens for a bit and then goes, "Mother sucker, you just described StarCraft." I woke up a little bit and realized, crap, I dreamed about StarCraft and forgot. Sounds like you should have constructed additional pylons. The floor is lava. Seems kids around the world independently invent this game though, so I hypothesize this is some instinctual thing. It's true. Most of the children I know, and even some adults, have a very strong instinct to not stand in lava. I thought I'd invented the figure 8 knot. I played with my hair constantly, and one day discovered that if I did a figure 8 knot, it stayed. Then I did some climbing stuff, and discovered that the knot is very well known and useful. When we were memorizing the times tables in elementary school, I couldn't get the 9s, for whatever reason. So I'm studying this trying to figure out how to remember it, when I stumbled on a pattern. If you're multiplying the number by 9, you could multiply it by 10 instead, and just subtract the original number. I thought I was so freaking brilliant, like I'm going to be some math prodigy or something. Yeah, no, it turns out that's just how all multiplication works. Looking back though, it's pretty dumb that we make kids rote memorize these dumb tables, instead of helping them understand the core idea in the first place. 9s was always easy for me on the early tables because up until you get to 10 the numbers and the answer always add up to 9. For example, 1x9 equals 9, 0 plus 9 equals 9, 2x9 equals 18, 1 plus 8 equals 9, 3x9 equals 27, 2 plus 7 equals 9, 4x9 equals 36, 3 plus 6 equals 9, etc. My dad, a French immigrant, and I, as a child, both used to mess around and surprise each other by yelling sassafras, since we would often make up stupid words to joke about. It was a good 5 years of messing around with that word before we realized it was an actual herb. I once got really high, realizing I was thirsty. I thought about getting a drink, but having the taste of tobacco and weed in my mouth, I didn't want to drink anything like Coke or milk that had a flavor, as the two wouldn't mix well. So it got me wondering what a flavorless drink would be like. It would probably be weirdly good, and popular too, I thought, as it would only quench thirst, without forcing you to have a new taste in your mouth. Surely it would be great with food. But how could I go about creating a drink that's flavorless, pleasant to drink and hydrating, I asked myself. Maybe if you could, like, extract the essence of other drinks, stay with me bro, and like somehow put that in a glass. That would be awesome, bro. Blinkers. I worked in a kitchen at the time and yelling corner became such a habit that I occasionally did it while driving. On one such occasion I thought, you know, it would be pretty nice if there was a way I could actually communicate to other drivers that I am turning. Then it hit me. My time to shine. Foot hats. The AC was on high in the car and my feet were cold. I decided there needed to be a hat for feet that you could just slip on when the temperature warranted. Turns out those are called socks. Instant printer. While fighting to get my computer to recognize that the printer was right fricking there, you piece of garbage, I came up with the brilliant idea of a word processor that would print as you type, bypassing the inevitable printer not found shitshow. Those are apparently known as typewriters. Emergency freezer. For when you want to keep frozen stuff frozen without having to or being able to power a freezer. The box would be lined with ice and the ice could be replaced as needed. Heck, the ice could even be delivered. Yeah, that's just an ice box. Always sharp pencils. Seriously, they always snap at the worst possible time. But what if there were pencils that never needed sharpening? They'd have to use a deeply pigmented liquid or gel, obviously, because any solid runs the risk of snapping and will eventually become dull. When I told my fiance my, frankly brilliant, idea, he handed me a pen. I'd just like to point out that, at the time I invented these, I was fully aware of the existence of typewriters and ice boxes, despite them being obsolete, which makes this worse. When I was 13 or 14 years old, I always thought it would be a good idea to have a doorbell that also took a picture or video when someone pressed it. Sort of like an answering machine for your front door. Also to maybe see who you missed stopping by while you were gone. Security purposes too. Reason being is my best friend lived next door, and if he wasn't home I wanted him to know I stopped by to see if he could hang out. And now we have all sorts of camera video doorbells. This was surprisingly wholesome, thank you lol. Just after college I was working on a cargo ship with a friend of mine, and we were having one of those deep smoke breaks where you get into heady stuff in a cigarette's length of time. 7 minutes for those of you who don't smoke. I told him that over the last few years I'd developed a personal life philosophy, one where the world is too absurd unpredictable to form any foundations for the meaning of life, and that true meaning is only derived from oneself. Nothing has any inherent meaning, so giving meaning to something necessarily makes that thing meaningful. Congratulations, dipshit, you've just invented existentialism. Hey man, I stand by it. I was thinking of how Bitcoin could be used practically, and then I was like, well, you could use it to buy goods, but to stop fluctuation so people could actually afford things you would have to tie it to those goods, or more likely to some central system. That's how I invented fiat currency. Cake muffins. Late at night, had a box of cake mix but no cake pan. Had a sudden realization. What if I made the cake in the muffin tin? Then I would have these portable cakes. Proceeded to wake up my pregnant wife to tell her the good news about our upcoming fortune, but she wasn't impressed. Whoever invented cupcakes was a genius. I have been known, when feeling a mite peckish, to make toast, top it with butter, then sprinkle, liberally, brown sugar on it. One such time, I had the brainwave that I could pre-mix the butter and the brown sugar. So I did. Put them in a little bowl, whipped them together for a couple minutes, made a sweet buttery spread, and it was delicious. And I was very pleased with my culinary genius, until I realized I had just invented buttercream frosting, and also that I was the sort of person who thought it was okay to frost his toast. Toast, top it with butter, then sprinkle, liberally, brown sugar on it. One step shy of cinnamon toast too lol. I told my dad that it would be a great idea to make photocopies of banknotes to pay with them. I was frustrated when he replied that counterfeit money had already been invented. I invented hot coffee, which is a combination of coffee and hot chocolate. I used to tell co-workers that I was off to the coffee pot to grab some hot coffee. Would they like anything? Until somebody broke the news to me. It's called a mocha. To my knowledge, no one has yet properly taken off my idea of coffee. A few instant coffee granules to a nice cup of tea add a pleasant tang. The ceiling fan. I was younger and thought it'd be great to make a spiral of air in the middle of the room to keep the place cool. I didn't have air conditioning at my first house. My idea was a giant fan in the middle of the room that spun on the horizontal axis with large vertical blades. This death machine would never pass OSHA standards. Ceiling fan is a much better idea. Vertical blades make this one extra exciting. I do remember wanting to write a story titled Friends and then seeing a commercial for a brand new TV show called Friends. I was mad. That was supposed to be my title. My brother invented studying. He told me he found a cool way to cheat. Just read everything the night before and remember it. My Chem 1 teacher told us that the best way to cheat is to hide the answers in your brain, because nobody can find them when they're as expected. A lot of people fell for it and he got some of the highest average test scores after that. Thanks, Mr. Adams. IDK if this counts, but growing up I went to my dad with an idea of colors we can't see. Because we're humans, there's more to the world than just how we're built. Something like that. I mean, I had to be somewhere around 7. He got really mad and yelled at me about it though, so it always stuck with me. Turns out I was completely right and we discovered impossible colors sometime in the 1980s, because humans only have 3 cones and other animals like the mantis shrimp have 5. So, I mean, I called a really been something, you know. My kid said something inventive. IT's rage time, apparently. I like fantasy and sci-fi, so I'm going to write a novel mixing them both. It'll be wizards in space. I'm going to make $1 bajillion. Oh wait, I just invented Star Wars. or Warhammer 40k. I worked in a hotel right out of college, a high-end hotel with dry cleaners on the premises, tucked away for guests. I stained my suit and walked by, complaining, and the guy running the cleaners took down a glass jar half full of something that when opened, gave that familiar smell to dry cleaners, tenfold. He said to dab some of that on the stain and handed me a rag. It took the stain right out. It was magic. Even took the years of yellowing off the collar of my shirt as I experimented with the leftover on the rag. I was so amazed after he took the jar back and he thought, wouldn't it be neat if this could be portable? Maybe in like a chapstick tube with cotton on the end. Sealable donor doesn't evaporate as a stain remover. All the times I've spilled stuff on ties. Then 6 years later the Tide pen came out. My father is in automotive, so when I was young he explained to me what a turbo was. I chewed on it for about an hour before I came back with, okay so dad, what if you have a smallish turbo, right, that will go on quicker? Cause you said it takes a bit to kick in, right? But then there's a bigger one that waits, and so one kicks on first and then the other so you can go like way faster, quicker. He was proud of me for noodling it out but then broke my heart by revealing I had just invented the twin turbo. My stoned wife and I created this awesome dessert where we take ice cream and toppings and a bit of milk and blend them all together. We tried every flavor we could imagine for a few days before we realized we invented milkshakes. I love to chew on things and scrape against my teeth, it just feels really good. So I started brainstorming a way to scrape something against my teeth but have it actually be good for them. Until I realized I had just invented in my head the toothbrush. Phosphenes, the patterns of light you see when you close your eyes. There was a time in my life that I thought I was the only person who experienced these. Maglev trains. But my plan involved a train surrounded by magnets, inside a magnetic tunnel, with a rocket engine on the back. It's a good thing I'm not an engineer. Sounds like Hyperloop. I thought about a butter dispenser and holder. You would put a stick of butter in there and it would grab onto it with spikes or something. Then you can dispense from the top like a glow stick, to lube up hot pans and stuff, and or squeeze a trigger which would allow you to have a slice or knob of butter as preferred. Similar things exist, not quite as cool as mine, but the market is flooded. And socialism. The town I grew up in has a lot of people asking for money or begging for food on the streets. I thought, why don't they just group themselves, and what little money they earn, they share, by buying things and living in a place they can all use. I was really young, maybe just learned to read. I had no idea about what it would imply in the long run and that wars had been fought about it. Doesn't actually quite exist yet, but when I was 12 I thought of a way to cure cancer where you would take out some of your immune system and train it to kill cancer cells and then put it back in. Thought that it was probably too ridiculous and probably isn't the way our bodies work. A few months ago I found out that my dad works on something very similar to this, and that they are seeing positive results. I once thought, why not make super tiny robots to kill cancer and other diseases? I invented nanites when I was like 12, somewhere around 2005. They were apparently first theorized in 1959. As a kid, I thought I had thought of something great. I was reading about cars and turbo lag and thought, we could just make them belt driven like alternators, right? There's a name for that, superchargers. Haha, I invented compound charging in about the same way. I knew about superchargers and turbo lag, so I assumed I was a genius for figuring out to use a supercharger to boost a turbo through the lag stage. Turns out Audi did it like 40 years ago. I thought I invented the method of converting improper fractions in like 2nd grade and was thoroughly disappointed in 3rd grade when I found out it was a thing. I remember a thread like this where two guys stayed up late as kids and invented cold hot chocolate, before his older sister revealed to him that they had just invented chocolate milk. Once I thought it would be really cool to play a video game where there's no opponents, real people or NPCs. The game just fights back until you learn how to work with it to accomplish a goal. And then I realized that those are puzzle games, and that I play them all the time. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.